Hello, welcome to my video. My name is Jaki and this is my final exam for poetry. In this video, I'm gonna analyze poem by Naomi Nai and the title is Blood. In my previous video, I was reacting her poem entitled Famous. In Famous, she makes a different way to understand what fame is, and she is hoping that people will reassess what is important in life and what it really means to be famous. I told you about herself in my last video, but I'm pretty sure I have to remind you who she is. Naomi is a poet, songwriter, and novelist. She was born to a Palestinian father and an American mother. And now, in this poem, she tells about her own life became a Palestinian American. She faces trouble reconciling the two sides of her identity. Okay, give me a minute to reading poem. Blood. A true Arab knows how to catch a fly in his hands. My father would say, and he'd prove it, cupping the buzzer instantly, while the horse with the sweater stared. In the spring, our palms felt like snakes. True Arabs believed watermelon could heal 50 ways. I chanced these to fit the occasion. Years before, a girl knocked, wanted to see the Arab. I said we didn't have one. After that, my father told me who he was. Shihab, shooting star. A good name, borrowed from the sky. Once I said, when we die, we give it back. He said, that's what a true Arab would say. Today the headlines glowed in my blood. A little Palestinian dangles a truck on the front page. Homeless fig. This tragedy with a terrible root is too big for us. What flag can we wave? I wave the flag of stone and seed. Table mat stitched in blue. I call my father, we talk around the news. It is too much for him. Neither of his two languages can reach it. I drive into the country to find sheep, cows, to plead with the air. Who calls anyone civilized? Why can the crying heart graze? What does a true Arab do now? We start from the theme. Blood by Naomi Nai speaks on the poet's own sense of identity as a Palestinian American growing up in between the two cultures. I'm sorry, I forgot to put figurative language in my PPT. But the figurative language should be simile, imagery, and metaphor. And the lines are written in free verse. This means that there is no rhythm scheme or metrical pattern present. This poem is intensely narrative. The fact that there is no rhythm scheme makes that narrative all the more believable. There are 5 stanzas, and I will analyze one by one. Stanza 1. In the first lines of Blood, the speaker, who is generally considered to be the poet herself, begins by relaying an incident with her father. This is something that has happened more than once, and always at someone else's house. In the line, a true Arab knows how to catch a fly in his hands. This quick statement, then the capture of the fly. would always shock the hosts. They stared while holding their fly sweater, ready to act, but too late to do anything. The first four lines read like a proverb, a short saying. In this case, attacked a story that speaks to a truth, or at least what someone believes is a generalized truth. There's a lot of humor in this brief story, but also a lot of imagery. This continues into the next stanza as his poignant choice of words crafts a variety of scenes and images. Stanza 2. In the next three lines, the speaker starts by describing something that happens to everyone, or at least those in the same community she is in. Their palms built like snakes. This is another vibrant image that is at once amusing and deeply human. She also presents another belief that all true Arabs trust in. The phrase true Arab is interesting to contemplate. It connects directly with the larger theme of identity. She's presenting things, true or not, that she is supposed to believe in. If she wants to be Arab, she needs to be this way. And the last line of this stanza states that she changed this saying to fit different occasions. This also says something interesting about her identity. She doesn't subscribe to what they are saying completely. She's willing to adapt to new situations. Next, stanza 3. In the third stanza, she recalls another incident that drew attention to her heritage and identity as Arab. She was at home when a girl knocked on the door asking to see the Arab. She replies that they didn't have one. The next lines are another recollection. This time, a tender moment with her father. Perhaps after this incident occurred, her father took her to the side and gave her a word to consider him as. This is part of his identity beyond being Arab. Shihab was the word he shared. It meant shooting star. A reader will notice that this is his middle name. The name is a good one that was borrowed from the sky. This touched Nai, and she asked if our names when we die return to where they came. Her father appeared to approve of this and tell her that that's what a true Arab would say. Next, stanza 4. It is in the fourth stanza the tune and mood of Blue change. Something happens. There's an event in the headlines that alter the speaker's world. It becomes a cloud in her blood. This is an interesting way of describing how physical her reaction to this event was. It changed her internally and eventually forced her to question her notion of identity. The tragedy is described in the next lines. It has a terrible root. It comes from somewhere deep inside the community, somewhere that her identity does touch, but no, she must content with. It is too big for her and her family members to deal with or understand. Okay, this is last stanza. In the last stanza, know that the tragedy has passed. Whatever it may have been, the speaker goes to her father to talk about it. Together, they are still unable to come up with the words to describe it. Her father can speak in two languages and neither of them can reach it. This attends to the depth that these incidents penetrate. It was a shock to her family and to her larger community. When her family didn't have the answer for her or a way for her to cope with the events, she went into the country. This is like another kind of consolation that she has access to an American citizen. When she gets there and she is able to express her fears openly, she asks the world who is civilized. And finally, she needs to ask the most poignant question of all. When she says, "What does a true Arab do now?" Her world does not have an answer for her. The father she always turned to and who always knew what an Arab would do in every situation cannot explain what comes next. And it becomes necessary for her to question her own identity and the rules she lives by. Perhaps there's an answer in the countryside somewhere, but the poem stops after this last question and it's unanswered. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it and bye.